Perfect. Love it. Look at that. They all come flocking up. Knowing that percents, what does the word percent mean? Split it right there. Per means out of, and cent is something we use when we talk about hundreds. For example, there's 100 pennies, 100 cents in a dollar. So percent means out of 100. So when you think about percents, you should always think about whatever the percent means, so many out of 100. Like if you're talking 13%, that's the same as the fraction 13 over 100. Whether it be shooting free throws or the number of problems you got right on assignment. If you get a 13% means if there were 100 questions, you would have gotten 13 of them right. Maybe hopefully you got 13 wrong as opposed to 13 right. But they're going to ask you to change numbers to percents, and when you do that, really all you have to need to think about is making it something over 100. For example, if you have the fraction 3 over 100, what percent is that? It couldn't get much easier, Keith. It is 3%. But if it was 3/10, how do I change that into a percent because it isn't over 100? Waiting for it.
So it's pretty much the same thing. Like 100 can be the same thing as 10 can be the same thing as 100. You said it at 0.
Well, multiply by 10 would be my preference. Yeah, you want to change this fraction so that it does have 100 on the bottom. So 10 times 10 is 100. So 3 times 10 is 30. So this would be 30%. Now, what about this though? What about 15 over 30? What do you do if you have 15 over 30? Because to make that over 100, 30 doesn't go evenly into 100. Any thoughts? Kate?
Well, 15 30s is equals 1/2, and
Okay.
half of 100 is 15.
Right. The first thing you should look at if you come up with a fraction that doesn't look like it goes into 100, see if it can be reduced, because maybe when you reduce it, the new number can go into 100. For example, 15 over 30 you could reduce by what? It doesn't really matter. You can divide them both by 3. If you divide 15 by 3, you get 5. Divide 30 by 3, you get 10. And then you can go from 10 to 100, which is times 10, 5 times 10 is 50. So it is 50%. That would be your first thing. I don't think they give you anything harder than that for right now. The second thing they're going to ask you to do is change decimals into percents. For example, change 0.8 to a percent. And kind of the same thing is true there. Okay. What is 0.8 as a percent? Well, you want to think about what is it as a fraction. 0.8 is the same thing as 8/10, which means it's the same thing as 80/100, which means it is 80%. Or, what if I had 0.12? What is 12/100 as a percent? I know it's hard, Jaden.
What? So,
What is 12/100? 0.12 as a percent.
so those are first
As a percent. What is 0.12 as a percent?
12%.
Because this is already 12/100, so it is 12%. Was that just too easy? I don't think about it or what? So here's a question. Well, one more maybe. How about this one? 0.05. What is that as a percent? Drew, what is 0.05 as a percent?
5%.
It is 5% because it's 5/100, and that is the same as 5%. And then, of course, we got to do a story problem. How about write this down? 12 of the 30 students earned a B. 12 of the 30 students got a B. What percent is that? What percent is that? And there again, you know it's 12 out of 30. What percent is 12 out of 30? And again, it's true that you cannot go right from 30 to 100, but if you reduce 12/30ths, what would 12/30ths reduce to? Luke,
4/10.
divide them both by 3, right? You get 4/10, and 4/10 you can change into 100, which is what? 40 hundredths, which is 40%. This concludes our very exciting